Today, we're going on an absolutely fascinating journey. We're starting at the literal, absolute edges of the universe, sweeping across the sheer vastness of the cosmos, and then we're going to zoom all the way down, almost microscopically, right into the inner workings of the human mind and soul. And we are taking this journey using a truly brilliant piece of ancient poetry, Psalm 19. Now, whether you come at this text from a literary angle, a historical one, or a theological one, the structure of this ancient poem is just a masterclass in moving from the macro to the micro. As you'll see, it shows us exactly how people thousands of years ago connected the grand, sweeping mysteries of the universe to their own daily behaviors and their deepest secret thoughts. So let's dive right into this massive, expansive opening line. Picture this. You're standing outside on a crystal clear, pitch black night, looking up at an absolute sea of stars. Notice how the poem doesn't start with human beings. It starts with the heavens. The scale here is literally astronomical. The ancient writer is looking up and observing that the mere existence and the mechanics of the sky are actively declaring and proclaiming something. It's not just a passive background, it's an active, communicative canvas. But before we go too far into the poetry, let's visually ground ourselves in the actual historical text we're analyzing. Check out that inscription right at the top there, to the choir master, a psalm of David. That actually tells us a lot about its original context. This wasn't some private, hidden journal entry. It was a carefully crafted song specifically directed to a musical leader, and it was meant to be sung and internalized by a whole community. It's this foundational piece of ancient Near Eastern literature attributed to King David and designed to really teach the listener about their exact place in the universe. All right, let's kick things off with Movement 1, the Cosmic Voice. We start wide with this idea of general revelation. Basically, knowledge that's communicated through the sheer vastness and existence of nature itself. Look at the beautiful paradox presented in these verses. We're told that day to day pours out speech and night to night reveals knowledge. But then, immediately, it clarifies, there is no speech, nor are there words, whose voice is not heard. Really think about that for a second. It's the silent yet universally understood language. The cosmos doesn't speak English or Hebrew or any human dialect, but its visual communication is so undeniably powerful that it spans the entire globe. Its voice goes out through all the earth. It's just a continuous, inescapable broadcast of grandeur. What's super interesting here is the original language. See the phrase, the sky above, from verse 1? That actually translates from the original Hebrew word for the expanse. And that directly connects us right back to the ancient creation account in Genesis, where the expanse was created to separate the waters. It really deepens the imagery. We aren't just looking at some fluffy clouds, we are looking at this massive, sweeping, architectural expanse that covers the whole earth, acting almost like a giant measuring line or a voice that stretches all the way to the ends of the world. And to bring that to life, the psalmist gives us these two wildly different, vivid metaphors for the sun. On one hand, it's compared to a bridegroom leaving his chamber. It's an image just bursting with radiant joy, freshness, and celebration. But on the other hand, it's compared to a strong man running his course. That's an image of pure, relentless endurance and athletic power. The sun has pitched its tent in the heavens, and every single day it bursts onto the scene with both incredible joy and unstoppable force. To wrap up this whole macro, cosmic perspective, verse 6 really hammers home the all-encompassing, inescapable nature of the sun's journey. Its circuit is to the end of them, and there is nothing hidden from its heat. Just think about how the sun literally touches everything on Earth. Its heat penetrates every single corner. This celestial body, with its dominating daily presence, is basically the ultimate physical symbol of the poem's opening idea, that the glory of this creation is absolutely universal and completely impossible to ignore. Moving right along, we get to Movement 2, the written word. Okay, we are zooming the camera lens way in now. We're moving from the silent, physical laws of the universe straight into the highly specific moral laws of human life. And notice the incredible rhythmic structure here in verses 7 through 9. It's incredibly tight. Title, attribute, effect. Boom, boom, boom. The law of the Lord, perfect. The effect, reviving the soul. The testimony, sure, making the simple wise. The precepts, right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment, pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, the rules are true. It's an ancient, poetic design built for rapid memorization and serious impact. Where the cosmos was broad and silent, these written laws are laser-specific and they are incredibly active. Which brings us to Movement 3, Gold, Honey, and Reward. So we've seen the structure, right? But what's the actual practical value of all this? I really want you to lean into this rich sensory analogy from verse 10. The text literally says these rules are more to be desired than gold, even much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and drippings of the honeycomb. In the ancient world, fine gold was the absolute peak of material wealth, and honey straight from the comb, that was the ultimate physical sweetness and luxury. The writer is explicitly telling us that this structured, specific moral law is vastly superior to the highest material wealth and the greatest physical pleasure you could possibly experience. Now, verse 11 is a really critical bridge in our journey here. It takes this perfect law that we just learned is sweeter than honey, and it applies it directly to the flawed, imperfect human, who's referred to here as the servant. Moreover, by them is your servant warned. In keeping them there is great reward. You see, the law isn't just some abstract list of rules gathering dust on a shelf. It's an active warning system. It's a set of guardrails for human behavior. And when you actually follow it, it doesn't just lead to a bunch of restriction. The text promises it leads to great reward.
And then, screeching halt. Who can discern his errors? This question in verse 12 is a massive speed bump in the narrative. I mean, we just got done talking about this perfect, flawless law. But suddenly, it's like the writer catches a glimpse of himself in the mirror and realizes a pretty terrifying truth. Human beings are fundamentally flawed. And even worse, we are often completely blind to our own flaws. It's a very sudden, deeply introspective shift in tone.
Let's explore that deeper in Movement 4, the inner life. We have zoomed in completely now, down to the microscopic level of the human conscience. The psalmist categorizes human failure in this really fascinating way. First, verse 12 asks to be declared innocent from hidden faults. These are our blind spots, the errors we literally can't even discern, those subconscious mistakes we all make. But then, verse 13 pivots to presumptuous sins. Now, these are deliberate, willful, eyes-wide-open acts of rebellion. The writer is actively begging to be kept back from these, specifically asking that they not have dominion over me. It's a very real acknowledgement that intentional bad habits have this terrifying tendency to take control, to essentially become a master over the individual. So, the crucial point here is this. The text is arguing that only by addressing both sides of the coin can a person strive for a blameless state. We have to have our hidden errors dealt with while also actively avoiding the presumptuous sins that are constantly trying to control us. Then I shall be blameless and innocent of great transgression. Obviously, the journey to being blameless requires immense humility because, well, it requires admitting you have faults you can't even see in the first place. And that brings us to the final verse, verse 14, which ties the macro and the micro together just perfectly. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. The exact same cosmic power that pitched a tent for the sun in the sky is now identified incredibly intimately as a personal rock and redeemer. The poem ends with this plea for inner alignment, that the hidden, quiet thoughts of the heart and the spoken words of the mouth would match the perfection we see in the universe's design. And it leaves us with this profound question to reflect on as we wrap up this explainer. In a universe so grand and orderly, how do our own words and the secret, hidden meditations of our hearts truly measure up?